But it wasn't about that at all. They were wanting to know the truth behind it. Because they believed that it was true that, that he was, seeing her at 16, that he had related, because they brought up Foxy Brown, they brought up Tierra Marie, and these are the feds, and I'm freaking out.
Real life.
It ain't real life. Just a real life street star. You know what time it is.
One of your strategies was to say that Jay-Z was dating Rihanna at a point in time, right?
So one of the strategies that we all had, because Jay-Z wouldn't give us a quote, and because Jay-Z, and it was weird also because when I came into contact with one of the producers of Pond to Replay, he was like saying that there was a thing, between them. And he was telling me that, like off the record, I don't care about talking about this stuff now because I didn't talk about it for so long. And I got that reputation of, being a guy who would, put out the, publicity stunt that Jay-Z was having an affair with Beyonce, and it was a love triangle, right? But that's why I'm coming out and talking about this stuff, because no, that's not really like, how it was, right? But the week when Jay-Z wouldn't give us a quote, obviously everybody was mad. And so it was like, all right, well, we're gonna get his, attention anyways. Plus, like I said, that, a lot of people were upset because it's like, okay, Jay-Z will mess around with Rihanna, he'll flirt with Rihanna, he'll be inappropriate with Rihanna, but he wouldn't give us a quote to help break the record. You know what I mean? So that's why it's kind of like, the strategy behind it was, let's come at Jay. And it was very aggressive, right? It was mean to, take a shot. Like, I don't know if I can cuss on here, but fuck Jay-Z, like cause he was too busy chasing, Lady Sovereign at the time. And, who was a British rapper who was trash, in my opinion. It was like, come on, man, like this, you have Rihanna here, like this is your flagship artist. But like I said, it seemed like at first, like he didn't want us to be put on and be successful, right? It seemed like which was very strange because of how he interacted with her personally, which was shady. So it was just like, you know what I mean? It was like, all right, fuck this guy, So
can you give us a history of Rihanna as far as her introduction into the music industry? We watch Tyler now being introduced from South Africa, coming into the, a worldwide stage. What was Rihanna's introduction to the music industry? At what point did you get a hold of her to get her to Jay-Z's ears?
So she was already on Jay-Z's ear when I came through, right? I came through this, I hate to even say his name because he's a cocksucker, but he's the other producer. His name is Veda Nobles. And Veda Nobles was from New Jersey. And if you look up Veda Nobles, he's a co-producer on Pond to Replay. He was the one who sued Lauryn Hill for the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. And it was his production team, Newark, who sued her, which kind of led to, her shutting down. If you remember back in the music industry, like she was so busy doing the Fugees, and then she dropped Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, which is a timeless classic. And then everybody was like, oh, she's a head case. She started missing shows. Well, she was depressed because, Veda Nobles and his guys sued her, for the miseducation of Lauryn Hill, and saying they were the producers of it, not her. So when I met Veda Nobles, I was introduced to him through Kevin Skinner, who was working for John Huston Entertainment, Whitney Houston's father's company. When he introduced me to Veda Nobles was like going through it, because everybody loved Lauryn Hill. So then he's the one who introduced me to Rihanna. He's the one who hired me to work Pondy Replay, write her first press release, and get it going and get some action, for the song. So that's how I got involved with that. And usually, like I said, I hate saying his name because, like I said, he's a real cocksucker. Not only has he let me fall on the sword on like a lot of the shit, is because, like I said, what he did to Lauryn Hill for miseducation of Lauryn Hill, the way he treated her by taking production credit, when that was all Lauryn Hill's album. She'd been working on that, since she was younger. That was her debut album, and this guy was trying to take credit for it. So that's how I met Rihanna.
Okay, Veda Noble. Sheesh. Okay. All right. Let me ask you. At what age was Rihanna coming into like Ponder Replay and of course
She was 16 when I first heard about her.
Okay. Let me ask you this, because we look at stars like Aaliyah, and Aaliyah has ties to Jay-Z in regards to her, coming of age story, and of course, the Rockefeller Nation. Rihanna, for you yourself, Jonathan, let me ask you, what was your goal for the Ponder Replay, pushing that record, getting Jay-Z to give a quote? What was the goal at the time of you pushing that?
Well, because I heard the song, right? And I knew, like when you're in the industry, like this is something, this song has it. And you could just feel like that, was a hit record. Something about it, was special. And she was really shy and she was really, awkward, but she had this huge song. And that's what a lot of people liked about her, is because she wasn't that person who was like real in your face, like singing for you. She was the person who would, be sitting in a corner, quiet, off in her own head, thinking about stuff. She real soft spoken, real shy, real, but brilliant, like total brilliant, like, look what she's done now. She's a billionaire.
Is it common for someone like Jay-Z or someone to deal with her at 16 years old? Like, isn't that a little weird?
For sure, it's weird, without question. But from what I heard, he was doing that same stuff with, Foxy Brown. Like I said, I was deep, involved, with some of his business stuff and the stuff that I heard. Obviously, I wasn't there to witness it, but here's a guy that that is currently right. He's currently, has 2 albums out with R. Kelly. He currently has all this work with Diddy, and before the pandemic, he was signed to Harvey Weinstein. So, like, when you think about Jay-Z, signed business partners with Harvey Weinstein, business partners with Diddy, business partners with R. Kelly, that's some fucked up shit, man. That just has to make you like think, is like, how could this one man be business partners with these 3 men? Two who are in federal prison, and 1 who's going to be indicted at any moment. That's weird.
At the time of Ponder River, what age was Jay-Z?
I don't know. I think he would have been 12 years older than her. I could be wrong. We'd have to look.
All right, let's get to and I want to go the Puffy situation, but let me just circle back to Rihanna and Jay-Z now. Of course, there was a documentary that came out this summer, of course, with Trapelo Ross putting that out, and
correct.
It aired on Academics, where, of course, they were going into the death of Jay-Z's mistress, and they brought your name up, and of course they came back to your article, of course, of you wanting to run. Your goal was to run the rumor that Jay-Z and Rihanna, it was a love triangle between them and Beyonce, and I believe you apologized to Beyonce, correct?
That was in 2015.
Okay.
And I apologize on Inside Edition. But listen, that wasn't even my idea, right? That was the Tidal Rock Nation people who were like, we want you to basically, fall on the sword, dead this thing, because the Becoming Beyonce book that those rumors came from, Matthew Knowles, gave a lot of information. He was like a source for the book. The guy who wrote the book, he was like a New York Times bestselling author. I'd done Michael Jackson biographies, Jackie O biographies. So they wanted me to fall on the sword. And in exchange, they were like, we're going to, make your projects Tidal Rising, and we're going to feature you on Tidal, and we're going to get you, the most amount of streams, yada, yada, yada. And back then, Tidal used to pay more than, Spotify, Apple, or anything else.
Right.
And so he was like, we're going to make, make all these promises that never happened. So I went on TV, Inside Edition, you can still see it. And I apologize to, Beyonce for this rumor that it was just so corny. Because here's the thing. If you're in a relationship, you're that high level, right? There's gonna be rumors of infidelity. People are gonna think so and so is cheating, right? But if you're with your man, like the book said that they broke up for 6 months because of my rumor. That's crazy. It's like they didn't break up because of my rumor. They broke up because of, Jay-Z is he's a fucking, asshole, bro. That's not had nothing to do with me. But in the book, that's what it says. It's they broke up because of me. So of course, like a lot of Beyonce fans were going crazy, on me. So that's why they wanted me to do the public apology. So I did it. So, it's like a sucker. And then they never came through with what they said they were going to come through.
I have to ask, for you to start a rumor and for it to stick not only months, but years and decades later.
A decade.
Yeah, a decade. Like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, 2 decades.
Yeah, 2 decades. 2 decades later, the rumor's still being talked about. Like, what are your thoughts when you're like, I'm going to start this thing and then see if there's smoke, there's fire, because it's just sticking around and people won't let it go. What are your thoughts on that?
So, like, we were all together in Florida, in Orlando, Florida, because that's where Veda Nobles was. That's where Kevin Skinner was for Whitney, the Whitney Houston guy that I told you about. Some other people, that were working, for Veda. So we were all like brainstorming like ideas, right? It wasn't like, I just thought of something and then I ran wild with it. It's like you said, it's crazy that it came out 10 years later in the book, and then it was in this documentary. And now here we are, right now talking about it, right? It won't ever leave, like it sticks, so people like BuzzFeed did a story last year calling it one of the biggest scandals in history. And there's like all this shit that keeps, coming up. And it was like so serious because being a PR person, I've done publicity stunts, which is just creative publicity, marketing angles and, whatnot. And, but this one caused like serious shit because after she blew up, we were in Kissimmee, Florida. Me and my partner at the time, he was like my intern, my partner, type thing. Like we're driving down the road and we were pulled over by unmarked cars in Kissimmee. And they asked us to follow them. So the whole time we're like freaking out. They didn't tell us what it was. And it was like 3 or 4 cars, one behind us, one in front of us. And we pulled behind this like dodgy library in Kissimmee and did this like building where, like a makeshift office or whatever. And I was interrogated and I was like, holy shit. Like I thought I was going to go, to jail, but I kept thinking like, all right, I can't go to like, what have I done wrong? Like it's not that serious. right? It's like a rumor that was like in the National Enquirer and shit like that. You know, it couldn't be that thing, but it wasn't about that at all. They were wanting to know the truth behind it. Because they believed that it was true that, you know, that he was, you know, seeing her at 16, that he had related, because they brought up Foxy Brown, they brought up Tierra Marie, you know, and these are the feds. And I'm freaking out. Like, I've never experienced that, you know. And then they started talking about, you know, Lance Rivera. And they had him under investigation, especially like back in the day, you know, 2003, 4, 5. You know, they used to have like hip hop watch police, you know, that watched, you know, and I'm sure they still do, right? But anyways, it was out there in public that there was like, you know, task force to watch hip hop artists, you know. So here's Jay-Z, you know, a guy that, you know, has these underage girls. I put out the rumor. So basically they, you know, they were wanting me to, you know, basically go on record and say, and I kept telling him, like, I don't know. I was honest even at the time. I was like, I've heard things, but I wasn't there, so I can't tell you. But, you know, because of he was under investigation too, because of some incident that happened with R. Kelly, some violent incident. You know, like, Jay-Z is not, you know, he's not a good guy, man. This is a guy that, you know, he comes, if you look at his past, what he comes from, you know, it's really dodgy, you know? So anyways, they let us go. They left, and, you know, that was it. But you got to think, if that is 2005 and they were investigating in them, you would think in 2024 that they would have all kinds of stuff, especially with, you know, the Diddy investigation right now.
Right. Did you have any dealings with Dame Dash?
I didn't. No.
Okay.
I wish.
All right. Right.
Shout out Reallyfe Street Stars, nigga. Move. Hey.